Hello and welcome to ThePrint. I am Bismee Taskin, Principal Correspondent at ThePrint in New Delhi. With me today we have Captain Anil Rao, General Secretary of the Airline Pilots Association, and Mr. Mark Martin, CEO of the Martin Consulting. Welcome to ThePrint, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having on board.
Good
Thank you
morning. Thanks so much for having us both.
For our viewers at the print, we have just published a three-part series on all of the aircraft accident investigation bureaus final accident reports that came into place since its being in 2012. Now we found out a lot of things, and even if you're not an aviation geek, even as a regular flyer, you should be informed about how the Indian aviation safety system functions. What we found out were things going beyond the headlines about the dissected data on the basis of these AIB final reports. Now, just to let our viewers know, a couple of pointers that we highlighted in these news reports was that in around 67% of these reports, human error or complacency were one of the main reasons or probable causes, as they call it, that the AIB had flagged in its investigation reports. 42% include operators, airline operators, as well as flight training organizations' errors that led to such accidents. We also highlighted how systemic failures have gripped the Indian aviation system, and so we have all gathered here today to discuss about what sort of overhaul does the Indian aviation safety mechanism require at this point in time. Just yesterday, the parliamentary committee had submitted a report asking that the DGCA should be given full autonomy, that cruise fatigue management requires a systemic change, among other things. My first question to you is, Captain Rao, is that we have seen a lot of discussion since the AI 171 crashed in Ahmedabad that left at least 275 people dead. Now, after the AIB's preliminary report, a conversation started, and especially ignited by Western media reports that suggested that this was due to some cracks in the cockpit, some pilot error. So, if you could tell our viewers about what goes on in the mind of a pilot, what do these AIB reports suggest, and what can we do to make their lives easier? Because you are already well versed with what kind of stories we have been publishing.
Thank you, first of all, Bismee, having me on board for this discussion. To begin with, ALPA India has categorically said again and again in media as well as in print media that we will not be able to say anything or comment on anything on the crash as such, because we do not have the full report. The preliminary report as such is incoherent in nature, and we have also put this to board, that is the AIB, to Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGCA, that we be a part of the air crash investigation, not only this particularly, but all investigations, that a pilot body should be a part of it, because it is only India that a pilot body or a pilot himself has not been a part of such an investigation, which is primarily focused on pilots. So we have appealed the parent organization, which is International Federation of Airline Pilot Association, with more than 100 countries there and 150,000 pilots, also has written to AIB and the ministry and the DGCA to make us a part of the investigation. I'll very categorically tell you that Indian pilots, specifically Indian pilots, are the most well-trained pilots in this country, in this world. In fact, our regulations, our training modules, our training schedules are very, very extreme and very, very serious in nature and very elaborate. We go through the training syllabuses which no other pilot in the world goes through. We have extensive training syllabuses. We have operators have their own extra training syllabuses, ground training, simulator training, online training. Everything is very vast and very detailed in nature. So with no doubt, I can say that Indian pilots are one of the very well trained and experienced pilots amongst all of the world. So that I would say that. And having said that, I would like to put this on a record, that the crashes which you're talking about and trying to find an error with pilot or pilot training shall be substantial with certain kind of actual evidence. So I would like to contradict on that part. So that's what Alpa would like to say as of now.
Right, sir. Mr. Mark, what are your comments about, first of all, this question that I posed to Captain Anil Rao, and secondly, what sort of systemic changes do you think the Indian aviation system has to undergo, because we are one of the fastest developing aviation industries in the world? What sort of modern technology, what sort of changes do we need in order to sustain?
AIB, none of the investigators on that investigation panel neither are technically qualified, neither have worked in an airline for 10 years, neither have touched an aircraft for 10, 15 years or repaired it, neither have flown at least 10,000, 15,000 hours, or are even close to being an experienced pilot, are neither technical experts, are server experts, are software experts, nothing. You scrape the worst people. What, those investigation AIB investigations, we know what the data brought out. How do we know those investigations are even accurate and correct and even done in the right manner? I know this for a fact. Every time an AIB wants to shut an investigation down because they don't have the ability to investigate, the easiest way out is blame the pilot. The same thing happened in the Kozhikode crash. These were Vande Bharat flights. The aircraft could only land in Mangalore. He could not divert it anywhere because immigration was not there, customs was not there. And as pilots, we all know if the weather goes during monsoons, especially that happened in August, if Kerala is down, even, I mean, right up to Tamil Nadu, you got Karnataka, Goa, all the airports are shut down because of extreme bad weather. He had no way to land. Fourth attempt on go around. He lands and he shuts the engine down. He says, Chalo, yeah, I can't take it anyway. Let me just bring it down here and see what happens. And then what do they do? In aviation, in SMS, safety management system, which is ratified in this country, every operator is told, you have something called Shell. It's a theorem to establish a cause of incident. It is software, hardware, equipment, live wire, environment, live wire, live wire. Environment was clearly the reason of the crash, but what did they do? They blamed the pilot. Why? Because he came and landed, and he crashed because it's his actions. I mean, this is ridiculous. India, now enough of this garbage. Everyone, when big aircraft orders are there, everybody go on stage and make great promises and commitments. How about following it up? We need an organization like the NTSP. Period. We need to invest, not and that has to be substantiated. We need at least 10,000 crores to be put in a building with at least 3,000 technical scientists. We need an advanced simulation lab. We need an assumption lab. We need data links to connect, and we need to have at least 2 standalone simulators there. We need to have advanced material research labs which can investigate why, how, go into deeper analysis, right down to right down to the component level, right down to the molecular level as to what really happened. And this is something India needs to do. Honestly, when I read the print report, I think hats off to you for what you've done. I think you've really unearthed a lot. But let me tell you one thing, guys. What you've done is just exposed. You've exposed the wound. You've just scratched the surface. इसके अंदर बहुत बहुत. The more you dig, the more garbage you'll find, and that is a bottomless, endless pit. This right now, we're in 2025. We have an order book of 1,500 aircraft which have to come from Airbus. I'm not sure what is happening with Boeing right now, but I know Airbus is committed to India. So is Embraer, so is ATR, so is Bombardier. And they are supporting our aviation markets. So we're thankful to these OEM manufacturers. But now, I think, I think it is high time somebody, if not us, if not the government, if not Honorable Narendra Modi ji, if not the Civil Aviation Minister, I think there's got to be a jagran. There has to be an awakening. I think no publication, no newspaper has ever done an analysis the way you have done. And all I'm going to urge you with folded hands is please keep the pressure, keep coming out with the reports so that it's made visible.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for your kind words. Moving on to Captain Rao. Captain Rao, you have been in the Indian aviation sector. You have been in the cockpit. You have flown on across aircrafts. What do you think goes wrong when there's a crash? what are the contributing factors? What, like, just can't be one thing that can go wrong. What are these combination of factors that have to go wrong for such catastrophic incidents and or accidents? And I just don't want to spotlight on the AI 171 crash. Just in general, why do these kind of incidents, serious incidents and accidents take place, and what sort of systemic overhaul do we need at this point? And do you blame a regulatory oversight that is leading up to these air accidents, not just from airlines but also glider clubs and FTOs?
Okay. Good one, Bismee. First of all, I would like to say that I or Alpa as such or myself, we don't believe in blaming or blaming games or pushing the buck on the other side and all. Our aim basically is to get reform, to see that there is we cannot avoid crashes, accidents, incidents. We can minimize them. And how do we minimize them? Is by learning from others' mistakes. A wise man learns from others' mistakes. That is what we are trying to do. That is what air crash investigation is all about. It's not about blaming people. It is not blaming XYZ, regulator, operator, manufacturer. It is learning what has gone wrong and how to fix it. The idea is that if somebody is not doing their job, investigating it and getting the truth out, then how do you avoid another accident? You have seen accidents in India as such. Okay. The similar kind of accidents which have repeated in nature, what are we
Right.
doing? The
Hmm.
whole idea of having, if you see, like they
Hmm.
say, SOPs, what is SOP? Is a standard operating procedure. SOP is written on somebody's blood. Somebody did certain mistakes, then the SOPs were changed. The aircrafts these days, the pilots, the crew, the whole team, the way they work is very very different what you would have seen 30 years back. The regulations have got reformed, the regulations have changed over the period of time, which was not there about 30, 40, 50 years back. If you see, the technology has gone immensely developed over the period of time. But if you see something, the airplane speeds are same. We have
Hmm.
not gone into Mark 2. We are not reaching New York in 2 hours. We are still the same. The speeds are the same. So, but the technology has increased. Our idea or our aim should be to find the fault. And why the crashes happen? Crashes can happen for many reasons. Just one reason. It's as simple as, why does a car have an accident? Why does a train have an accident? There are, but these crashes, a crash as such, takes the major attention of the globe, of everybody, because it's still a premium class of travel, and it's a very very highly secure, safe mode of transportation. So what I'm trying to say is, finding fault should not be the main essence of getting into the report. Finding fault is not the finding fault with people, finding fault in the system, finding fault what exactly happened, reason, and seeing that it does not happen again is what we are here for. We are here to enhance safety, and that is what my aim, and we have been saying all this while, is give us an observer seat in the air crash investigation board, so there is transparency in the system. People know what is happening. There is no wishy-washy and trying to hide certain things or certain people or certain entities or certain people who are persons or organizations which have a vested interest. We want to know the truth so that this does not happen, and we exactly know who's where the fault lies. So, see, we have something called a Swiss cheese model, which we learn in our CRM classes, that is crew resource management. So the Swiss cheese has these holes, and randomly holes. Every flight, it's like every day, it's like the butterfly effect. You step out of your house, you can die today if these holes are aligned to each other. That means if everything goes correct in a planned manner, you will be dead just stepping out of the house or sitting in the room and the fan falls. These equations have to be set right for an incident to happen, an occurrence. So that is what we call Swiss cheese model in aviation, that all these lines, if they align, an accident happens. And such a a kind of accident or crash happens at a tremendous effect. So this is what a crash happens. A crash can happen because somebody did not do a small thing by the ground staff, or a cabin crew, or an engineer, or somebody who was planning the flight, or probably fueling. Everything can be aligned, should be aligned for an occurrence to happen. That's what it
Right,
is.
sir.
My point here is very, very clear. It is quality of people. The person investigating, we don't even know whether those investigation reports have been done by people qualified enough and have been investigated thoroughly enough. Okay, that's my first point. We're a population of what, 1.5 billion people in this country, right? Roughly. Do you know that our DGCA has one DGCA person, one airworthiness officer for 3 aircraft? One for 3 aircraft. You know what the ratio in the US is? 2.8 airworthiness people for 1 aircraft. You know what the ratio in Europe is? It's 3.5 to 1, because European Aviation Safety Agency regulations are 10 times more strict. You know what the ratio for that in China is? 2.5 is to 1. That means 2.5 airworthiness people for 1 aircraft. In India, it is one person for 3 aircraft. Doesn't that answer a lot of questions here? And that one person, how qualified is he to actually go and check a complicated aircraft like the 787? एयरलाइन में क्या है कि जो बंदा कंप्लेन करता है या पुट्स अ सेफ्टी रिपोर्ट, दे हैरेस हिम, दे बिकॉज ही इज सेइंग वो कंपनी के खिलाफ बोल रहा है, एंड दे मेक हिज लाइफ मिजरेबल. DGC also says SMS should be non-punitive, but non-punitive does not happen. In Europe, do you know, Bismee, that anybody can file a safety report and you don't necessarily have to be a pilot or an engineer working in the airport? You're flying, if you find the step ladder away from the aircraft, you take a picture and you report it in under voluntary safety reporting. If you find a pilot having certain mental issues, you can report it. Anybody can report it. Let them investigate later on, but at least they were made aware. But what I will say one thing here is that fundamentally, our problem is systemic. It's a cancer. You're telling we cannot get enough people in the DGCA?
So
Yeah.
we had a meeting with DGCA where we had given a formal letter, and the inclusion of ours in investigation
Okay.
in PIB as well as in AIB, and we were asked to give us evidence that if
Yeah.
pilot associations in other countries have been part of investigation. So we
Yeah.
have done that.
Yeah.
But there is ALPA Canada, there is ALPA USA, there is Pilot Association Australia, New Zealand, even
Yes.
Indonesia. They have got MOUs, the memorandum of understanding with their regulators, where they can be a part of investigation. So we have given all those reports, and we have also given reports where actual pilot association and their unions representatives were
Yes.
part of a formal. I'm not talking about like a public litigation kind of a thing. A formal investigation, they were part of it. So we have given that evidence also to the DGCA, and also have
Okay.
written it to MOCA and AIB. So we are just we keep saying, but see, unfortunately, what happens in India, there are no unions anymore. Okay, and we ALPA is not a union; it's association. Our main objective is basically enhance safety and pilot welfare. That's all.
Correct.
So we are not fighting any loggerheads with any operator or regulator, anything. We want to get reform. We want to
Correct.
change. See, how long can you keep complaining? Complaining is very easy, but getting a reform, the change the system, is what is
Yes.
all we require. And for that, we appeal to people, we appeal to regulators, MOCA, ministry, AIB, whoever it is, who can get a change, to give us a chance, because we are people with expertise. We have millions of hours of experience under our shoulders.
Thank you so much for joining us, both of you, today. For our viewers, we will be putting the links of our three-part series in the description below. Do keep watching us, following us on our social media handles.
So I want to thank Print. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
your exemplary seminal work on this investigation report. I think you guys done a fantastic job. Captain Rao, thank you so much for all your efforts.
Thank you.
Keep up the good fight. Keep up the spirit.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan.
And
Thank you for your support.
Print, thank you so much for having me. It's truly been a pleasure.